Okay, good morning, everybody. George Reese here. Welcome. We hold on a second. Okay, we are ready. Lovey, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. How's everybody this morning? I'm sure it was a busy 2 days already, but so today we're going to dive into sampling 101, one of the most powerful ways to grow our business, right? But when it's done right, of course. One thing I just wanted to be clear about something, a sample, it's not just a freebie. Okay, it's an invitation, right? An opportunity for someone to really experience wellness for themselves. Okay. So before we get started, thank you, George. Before we get started, let's get a couple of people to share their victories. I know we have several, I'm sure. Nobody has any victories. I find that hard to believe. Okay, thanks, Frida. Thanks for sharing, Frida.
Hey, you call me out, girl. I'll go for it. uh, I Victories. Oh my goodness. So there was an expo here in Ocala, and we had a booth set. Well, not me personally, but people on our team had a booth set up across from another vendor. So when I went, I just walked over to the vendor and I said, "Hey, tell me about what you do here." And he told me and explained it. He gave me his card. I said, I'll get in touch with you. That was like a month ago before we went on a road trip for a month. And so I just called him when I got back. He hopped on with our Zoom on Sunday night, and we have his follow up schedule for today for he and his wife both. So there's a win.
Very nice. Yes, that is a win. What would have happened if you just let it go?
I probably wouldn't have gotten on the business. You know how that goes. Honestly,
Yeah.
one follow up, I am adamant about people following up within. I always say if they're on Monday night, you follow up with them on Tuesday morning. That's the way I like to do it anyway.
No,
Uh,
that's good.
the quicker you follow up with them, the better. I had another lady, I was running errands at Sam's Club the other day, and I had this lady approach me. And so she gave me her name and number, and I put her on Monday night, and she texted me this morning. Today's Tuesday, right? And said,
Yeah.
"Can we get together today or tomorrow?" So, guys, it works. It's setting. Well, again, I have to say that Gary and I kind of backed up and set a new goal, and we are determined to put in 20 new people over the next 90 days.
Oh my gosh.
The
That's so exciting.
decisions create action, and action creates results. And thank you for calling me out anytime.
Yes. No, I know you always have something. No,
Thank you,
thanks for
girl.
sharing that, Frida. That is
Thank you,
so
girl.
awesome. Congratulations. That's amazing. All right,
Thank
Nobert,
you.
I see your hand up.
Hi, Lovey. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I can't turn my camera on. But so one thing I want to share is like how wonderful this community is. So last week, so one of my brand ambassadors, basically one of Jasmine's level one is has an upcoming event in LA or in Newport Beach. Like
Mhm.
for her, like it's like she has a booth over there and all that. And so, Lovey and I both had something else going on. So, we would have loved to gone up there to support. But one of our uh basically my level three, no, wait, one, two, three, I think level four already. And brand new brand ambassador who just joined. God bless him. His name is G. I don't think he's on right now, but so him and his wife are driving up to Newport to support, and Jasmine made it clear, hey, the person paid for her booth and all that, so it's kind of like her event. He said, you know what? That's fine. We're here to support and help her with her business. So this is the kind of people that I'm so blessed that we are attracting, right, in this community. People that are just so willing to help each other, regardless of whether there's financial gain. And that's very indicative of everyone here. Like we all, like I mentioned before, we all come from different teams, but we all pour into one another and really help each other thrive. So I just wanted to share that. It was such a I was reflecting on it for the week. It was such a blessing.
No, it's so true. And thank you for sharing that, Nelbert. Same thing for me. I mean, I'm so grateful for, this morning huddle. I know we get on Christine's huddle at 7 and then we get on here at 7:30. It's really, really, truly amazing. No more feeling like we're the redheaded stepchild. It's so great to being able to be in this community. And it's so true. It's so great. Like we met with G last week to provide some training for him, and he's just super excited, very entrepreneurial mindset. So yeah, it's really exciting. Thanks for sharing that, Nelbert. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen here. It should work this time. Uh-oh. Can y'all see my
Yeah,
screen?
yeah, I can see.
Okay, good, good. Perfect. All right. So to kick us off, one of the things I want to share is a quote from Seth Godin. He is actually the best-selling author and marketing thought leader who has changed the way um, business thinks, right? And about connection and trust. So this is what he says. He says, people don't buy products, they buy belief in the possibility of change. Okay, that's Seth Godin. One of the things I wanted to share before I move on was that one of the things I remember is that the first time I ever gave out a sample and realized that it's literally more than a freebie, it actually gave this my brand ambassador now, it actually gave her hope that she could feel better. And that's when I understood the power of sampling. She was so excited after she realized she had so much energy. She cleaned her entire house top to bottom, and then she called me the next day. So I love that she did that. But really quickly, by a quick show of hands, okay, or in the chat, how many of you first became a customer because of a sample? Nobody. Oh, okay. Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, right. So it works, right? So that's exactly why what we do really matters. Because what we're doing is we're sharing a sample. We're not just giving something away, right? It's not just a freebie. We're giving someone a chance to feel the difference, to experience more energy, better health, and a new way of living. So that's what we're doing is we're showing them a lifestyle, right? So my hope really is at the end of this that you'll know how to sample with intention, how to build relationships, how to spark stories, and then of course grow your business through belief, not just about the products. Yes, the products are amazing, but it's not just about that, right? So this is what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover introduction and purpose and why sampling is important, the psychology of sampling, understanding the emotional side of sampling, the 4 keys to effective sampling. It's going to be a step-by-step process to sample and being strategic about it. Role play and practice. We're putting our skills into action, and then we're going to close it with a call to action. So what to do next, basically after we do today's training. All right. So I put Ken up here. Everybody know Ken? So let's dive into the psychology, okay, behind why sampling works so well. So again, it's not just about giving away products. You're probably going to hear me say that quite a few times, but it's really about creating an experience that really leads to trust and belief. Okay. So the first one is try before you buy, right? Who has gone to Costco and then you found yourself sampling different things, right? Whether it's a snack or a drink, right? Yes. Thank you, Lynn. Why does it work? Who can tell me why it works? Oh, you guys are all quiet today. Okay, I'll tell you why it works.
Yeah, well, I
Because
can.
Because you can taste it at
Yeah,
least,
thank
and
you.
you know how it tastes. You like it or not? That from start.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, because sampling takes away the risk, right? You could try it. We all know how hesitant people can be, right? When trying something new. And then most of the time, what happens? They wonder if it's going to work for me. Will I like it? Right. But with sampling, they're not just guessing anymore. They get to experience it firsthand. Right. So no more wondering if it's going to work. They can actually, literally taste or feel the products. And it's no longer a leap of faith. It's literally a small, um, I guess you can say risk-free trial. Right. Here's the thing. When someone tries a product and you feel the difference, that's when trust is born. And trust is everything, right? I'm sure everybody agrees with that. When you offer a product for free, you're not just giving away a sample. You're telling them, hey, I believe in this product enough to share it with you. Okay. That message creates curiosity, and people want to know more. So the curiosity, it doesn't just stop by just trying it. They want to dig deeper. It's kind of like what happened with Nobert. When he found out, when one of the doctors have shared it with him after he got better, he really wanted to find out what was that, what was going on. He wanted to dig deeper, and that's how you open the doors to deeper engagement. Okay, so sampling isn't just about giving something away, it's really about creating a connection that leads to genuine interest. Okay, let me ask you this. Have you ever tried a product and felt an immediate change? Maybe you felt more energy, maybe you felt calmer, or just feeling better, right? That feeling doesn't really leave right away. It doesn't leave you, right? It's the beauty of sampling. So it's not just a transaction, it's an experience. So very similar to what we did. Everybody remember what we did for those that were at the convention, right? What happened? They gave us all a bottle, they gave us a thing of kinetic or two, right? So it's really about how the product makes them feel. When you experience something positive, it's hard to forget. And guess what? People remember feelings more than features, more than, oh, that was a pretty blue collagen. No, they remember how they felt. That's why a simple sample can actually turn this into a deep emotional connection with your product. So they don't just buy the product, they believe in it because they really felt the difference. And belief is a game changer. Here's the thing, you guys. One thing I've found is not all sampling is created equal. Okay, here's what I mean by that. Some may just hand things out and hope for the best. But when we do that, it usually doesn't go anywhere, right? Has anybody ever felt that? Like you gave something and that was it. There's nothing to it, right? So let me share exactly what I mean. Let's say, for example, I meet someone, okay? Let's say, let's say I gave it to Frida, only because Frida, you're on my screen. I say, Frida, hey, here's a sample. Try it out. What happens? I had like zero energy. It was super flat, right? What's Frida gonna say? She's gonna probably look at me like, okay, I guess, thanks, right? So that's what happens when we treat sampling like a giveaway. Caroline, did you want to share something?
Yeah, I just pulled over real quick, but what based on what you were saying, I also hand out a sample, but I also say, hey, can I call you tomorrow to see what your feedback is? That way
That's
I'm communicating. I want it to be free, but I want them to answer me. And then they find out they really like it.
that's right. That's exactly right. And that I'm gonna dig into that too. Yeah, thank you for that, Caroline. Yeah, so what happens, just like when I shared it with Frida, there's no connection. I had zero excitement. So she didn't even have a reason to open them, right? What if I said, hey, Frida, I know you've been telling me about how tired you've been feeling in the afternoon. I'd really love for you to try this Vitality. I felt more energy and better sleep within a week. Try it for a few days and then I'll check in with you Thursday to see how you're feeling. Does that sound good? It's kind of like exactly what Caroline was saying, just follow up with them, right? But her likely response is going to be, wow, thank you. Yes, I'd love to see if it helps. So it's a huge difference. So the second one is more personal, it's more specific, it sets it up for a follow up, just like what Caroline did. And that's not just giving a sample, that's literally planting a seed for belief and relationship. Okay. How many of us have been told over and over and over again that stories sell, right? I know Georgia said it. I mean, oh my gosh, thousands of times. Okay, so let's talk about the real magic stories. People don't just buy products, they buy into the belief that this product can actually change their lives. So think about your own story. Okay. How did the products help you? What difference did it make in your life? That story is just as important as the product itself. When someone tries a sample and has their own story to tell, maybe they feel more energized, or maybe their skin looks better, feels better, right? That's when transformation actually happens. And when people believe in that transformation, they want to be part of it. They want to tell their own story. So they don't want just They don't just want the product, they want to be part of the change. So it's about giving away, it's not about giving away free stuff. Okay. It's about creating this experience that actually builds trust, it builds curiosity and an emotional connection. And those three things lead to belief. And belief, of course, we all know it's everything, right? So when customers believe in the products, they become loyal. Whether they become a loyal customer, a loyal brand ambassador, right? We want to make sure to keep them, right? So think of a time you tried something and it gave you hope, right? Essentially, that's what we're doing. We're here not just giving samples, we're actually giving hope to people. Okay. By a show of hands or in the chat, how many of you have given out a sample and never heard back? Yeah, a lot. I have too. But what do you guys think was missing? Yeah, what do you think was missing, Carolina? Or Carolina, I'm sorry.
Other than the follow up again.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes, BJ.
Also value. If you don't put value
Yes.
to it, then you're not going to get a response from them. And I do a questionnaire at my if they're sampling like the kinetic and have them fill it out before I actually hand them the actual samples so they understand that there is a value of it. You have a value, I have a value. Let's connect, see what you think of it, and it creates more curiosity, I think, with them as
Yeah,
if they answer the questionnaire too, and I track it, and that's my trackable form.
that's right. No, that's so good. It's so important. And it's so interesting because actually I'm going to cover all of that. But thank you for sharing that, BJ. That's awesome. Lorna?
I've given a lot of samples to family and friends, and I follow up with them, and most of them said, "Oh, I haven't tried it yet." And some of them will say, "I don't like the taste." And you know, I for me, with my experience, I prefer having it cold. And I said it's a new drink. Kinetic actually doesn't give you the jitters, and I to, to them that the energy drinks that they buy from the store will
Mm-hmm.
give you so much. I mean, like the jitters and get your heart pumping, and that's not good. But and so I sometimes go back and to my closest friends and I said, okay, give it back to me because I paid money out of my pocket for this. And I don't want to sound rude, but I'm like, okay, um, or not let them hurt my feelings. And I try not
Mm-hmm.
to let anybody hurt my feelings. So yeah, I'm just sharing the experience that I have with the kinetic because coffee is a big thing, caffeine. And I drink it all the time. And so I know that the caffeine ruins your teeth. It gives you so much
Mm-hmm.
energy, but this kinetic has done a lot. And I tried to share that, but like they look at me like, okay, okay. So I just sometimes have to zip it up.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. And I'll cover that here in a second. Thank you, Lorna, for sharing that. And it's so true. You don't want to say too much, right? You just want to
Mm,
say just enough. But it's also true that you want to share your own experience, right?
mm,
BJ, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I did that. My neighbor came over and helped me pick up a really heavy plant, and I gave him one. I figured I got his number, lives across the street, and I told him, I said, try this, tell me how you like it, right? And I told him the benefits, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't have a cell phone, so I can't send him anything. It's all landlines. And so he said, yeah, he said, just send me email. I said, okay. So I sent an email and I said, so how'd you like it? He goes, oh, I haven't done it yet. I gave it to my son's wife. She's doing research. So I called the next
Uh,
day and I can't send him any research charge because he doesn't have so now I start sending research to
Mhm.
him through the email. Still haven't done it. And finally, I just got mad and I said, you know what? I could have sold that for $3.50. If you're going to try it, and if you're not, just give it, I'll just come over and get it. And I left for the day and I came home at night and he had wrapped four $1 bills around the kinetic, put a paper clip on it, and jammed it into my storm door. And I was like,
Oh,
really?
wow.
I know. So what I found out is like I have better results if they actually taste it. And that's what Fotine was telling me. She said, don't just hand it to them. They got to taste it first.
Yep.
And so I went to a bar. I like to go to this bar because I play music. It's actually a music venue. They only have the bar to pay for the space. And so the owner's standing there, and I said, you look really tired. He goes, I am, and I have to go set up for a gig tonight. And I said, you want to try something new that doesn't have any sugar in it and blah, blah, blah. And he says, yeah, I'll try it. So I said to the bartender, I go, Morgan, I said, get this man a glass of ice water. So got the ice water, dumped it in there, stirred it up. He didn't like the taste. I said, Morgan, squeeze a lime in there. So he just grabs the lime, he takes a bite out of the lime, and then he squeezes the lime into it himself, stirs it up. And then he goes, yeah, that does taste pretty good. And he's a high C personality, okay? So they're very analytical and very detail oriented. It's the kind of guy who would say, I need to do more research. But so he takes off. I see him and I said, well, what do you think? And he goes, well, it tastes pretty good. And he starts loading out all of his equipment for the gig, right? And I'm watching him buzzing around there. And he leaves. And the next day is jam night. So I come down and I said, well, I said, how'd you do it? He goes, I didn't like the way it made me feel. And that's a first because most people they like it if they taste it. But I've
Mhm.
never had anybody tell me they don't like how they feel. So just, if they don't want to do something, I mean, I thanked him for being honest. He's my friend. I'm not going to lose a friendship over that. I live in a small town. Good friends are, far and few between. You've got to be really careful picking your people.
Right.
But yeah, it's important to know that if a person has an excuse from the jump, they're going to tell you pretty much.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
So,
that's good, BJ. And it's really important to know who your audience is too, right?
uh-huh.
And so, but I'm glad that he gave you feedback right away because that's important. And
Yes.
then you kind of tweak things along the way, right? Because we're constantly growing, right, in
Yeah.
this industry. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I know Diggs had mentioned that there is no emotional connection. Yeah, that's true. So what happens when you gave these samples and you just, the things that we lack of, I know that for me it was the same thing, right? I didn't hear back because, well, one, there was no emotional connection, right? Or there was no follow-up. So those are really important. All right, so let me see. Oh gosh, I got 5 minutes. Sorry, George. All right, really quickly. So we'll go over the four keys to effective sampling. Okay. So these four simple but really powerful principles are really the secret sauce, I guess you can say, to taking your sampling efforts from like random giveaways to strategic business building action. So if you want your samples to truly move the needle, these are the non-negotiables. Okay. So the first one is target wisely. And here's the truth, just like what we were talking about, BJ, you hit the nail on the head with your neighbor. Not everyone is a good candidate for a sample. Okay. And guess what? That's actually a great thing because you don't want to waste your energy nor product on people who are not interested or aren't a good fit for what you're offering. Right. So effective sampling is all about being strategic. Just like BJ had mentioned, she was strategic with the was it, I think the manager there, right? So think of it like fishing. Who here goes fishing? Okay, so quite a few of us go fishing, right? I don't go fish, but do you just throw a line in the water hoping for the best? No, right? You use the right bait to attract the fish that are already ready to bite. So in the same way, you want to make sure your sample gets in the hands of people who are not just willing, but are ready to experience the change your product actually offers. Super important. So it's about being intentional, focusing your efforts on people who are really curious, they're open-minded, or even actively looking for a solution. And sampling, it's an investment. It's not just in your product, but also in your time and in the relationships that you're building, right? So when you target wisely, you're not just handing out freebies. You're creating these different opportunities for real connections and then ultimately a long-term business, right? So the goal here isn't just to hand out as many samples as possible. We all know what happens when we just hand them out. It's about handing out the right samples to the right people, the ones who are most likely to engage, experience, feel the change, and then build a relationship with your business. And then the second one is educate simply. And trust me, this one is huge. When you hand out a sample, it's easy to get excited and start. What happens? We start over explaining everything. I think that's something that Lorna had shared earlier, right? I know I've done that. Who else has done that? Right? So you want to tell them about every little detail, every bit of science behind the product. I know I have, but here's the thing, you guys, less is more. It's not a time for a full-on science lecture. Your goal is to really ignite interest, not overwhelm them with so much information. And let's be real. When someone hands you a sample, you're not like sitting there thinking, wow, I can't wait to hear about the different delivery systems, right? Instead, you're probably thinking, okay, how is this going to help me? Right? So focus on one or two key benefits, something that's going to catch your attention, make them curious enough to really want to try it. So, for example, instead of saying, oh my gosh, this collagen, it's hydrolyzed, it's micronized so that it goes straight to your bloodstream, down to your cell nucleus. Let's not do that. Okay, I won't lie, I have done that. It's just because I was so excited about it. But just simply say something like, the collagen helps your joints and your skin health. It's simple, it's clear, it's effective, right? So think of it like this. Don't try to sell the whole farm. Give them a taste of what the product can do for them. And then you let the curiosity do the rest. But when you focus on the results, what they'll actually feel or experience, that's what's going to grab their attention. It's like that classic line from network marketing. Who knows the classic line from network marketing? Okay, I don't see many heads. All right, classic line from network marketing. If they don't see it for themselves, they're not going to believe it. But if you show them a glimpse, they'll be curious to learn more, right? Thank you, Lynn. Yeah. So don't overcomplicate it. I know I used to do that. Stick to one or two simple benefits and let the product speak for itself. The goal is really to get them curious enough to want more. And then once they're curious, you're really pretty much halfway there, right? And then follow up with intention. So this is one of the other important keys for success with sampling, following up and intentionally. And be honest, you guys, how many of us have given a sample, then ghosted on the follow-up? I have. I've done that because I couldn't keep track. And we'll talk about that. So sampling isn't just a one-time event. It really is truly a process. So when you hand out a sample, that's just the beginning of the relationship. It's like planting a seed. You can't just walk away and hope it grows, right? You got to nurture it. You got to water it. You got to care for it, right? And that's where the follow-up comes in. BJ did a great job on trying to follow up as much as she can, right? So when should you follow up? Show me in the chat when everybody should follow up. I know Frida had mentioned this. Yep, 24 to 48 hours. Thank you, Kimberly. So after someone has tried your sample, right? Why? Because that's when they'll remember the experience and it's fresh in their mind. That's your chance to connect with them, get feedback, and most importantly, move the relationship forward. So here's a good question to ask, just a simple question. How did you feel after trying the sample? Right? You just keep it light. Don't overthink it. I used to overthink this, but make it personal. Okay. It's not about pushing a sale. It's about building the relationship when you ask that question. The other thing is listen carefully. Sometimes we end up talking over people and they're just wanting to share. There's the reason why God gave us 2 ears and one mouth, right? Listen to them. Are they raving about how great they feel? Are they unsure? That's your chance to really get feedback and address any concerns or any kind of objection. Maybe they didn't feel anything, right? Or maybe they're wondering how it works long term. So don't ignore those concerns. That's the time to actually guide the conversation. And so when you do this right, follow up isn't just transactional, it becomes a relationship. And you're not just pushing a product, you're actually guiding them toward the next step, whether that's, introducing them to more products, helping them enroll, right? Or continuing the conversation. It really is about the journey. It builds trust and then it makes them feel really supported. So remember, follow up is where the magic happens. It's really not about the immediate sale. It's about the long-term relationship. And when you follow up with intention, you're not just going to overcome objections, but you're also going to create loyal customers or brand ambassadors, future business partners, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really all about the process. So track and duplicate. This is where the magic happens. You can't grow a successful sampling system if you're not keeping track. Write it down. However you write it down on your notes or your Project 100 or on your phone, right? But whatever you do, you got to write it down. Who did you give a sample to? When? What did you say? Right? So tracking your samples, making sure that nothing slips through the cracks, because they will. I know it's slipped through the cracks for me, but when you're organized, you can refine your approach and then you can make it even better. But the real gold in this process really comes from duplication. Here's the thing. I know Norbert had shared it earlier. We can't do this alone. I love this community. We really are here to help one another. And to really grow your business, you need your entire team following the same system. When everyone is tracking their own samples and doing the same thing, that's when you create this amazing momentum. It's not just about you, it's about you teaching your team to be consistently, replicate the system that's already been built for all of us, right? So growth really becomes exponential when we do that. So think of it like this. Tracking is like your roadmap. It's basically like your GPS. It helps you stay on course. It helps refine your sampling strategy, but duplication really is the engine that drives the growth forward. So when your team is all on the same page, working together, I know Antoinette and Christine, they're really great at doing this and tracking their sample, that's when you really start to see real momentum. And now the 4 keys that we've covered are your blueprint, okay, for sampling success. So it's not just about handing out products, it's about doing it strategically, literally with purpose and following up with intentions. And these steps, if you do it consistently, it's going to transform your sampling strategy into a powerhouse. So let's just break this down real quick in detail, step by steps, and get you ready. Okay. So key takeaways: target wisely. Okay. Don't waste time or product on people who aren't interested. Find people who are ready for a change. Educate simply. Keep your message clear, concise, and impactful. And then follow up with intention. Don't let a sample just be the last step. Build that relationship. And then, of course, track and duplicate it. Write it down. Teach your team and watch momentum grow, because that's what happens. And remember, tracking keeps you organized and on course. So while duplication really fuels your team's growth, when both are in place, your sampling system is in it, and the longer it's just going to be working for you. The longer you do it, the longer you get used to it, right? It's going to work for everyone. So before we wrap up, what I want to hear, and I'm going to stop share. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from everybody. Just type in the chat real quick. What's one shift that you're going to make in how you sample this week? So it could be as simple as, I'm going to follow up within 48 hours. I'm going to keep a sampling log. I'll add more intention when I give it, right? Don't just give it. You got to make sure that you have emotions behind it. Okay, let's go ahead and share that real quick. Oh, it's slow in my end. Yeah, target more carefully. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep, the fortune is on the follow-up.
Yeah, something
That's
that was
right.
going to come into is when we are sampling and you're talking about giving a sample with intention, your intention is that the person is also trying the product first and try it right. And one of the
That's
things
right.
that I love, because especially some people say, okay, I have a challenge with the flavor. By the way, that is going to be with everything. I mean, some people, you think that you have the best ice cream in the world, you to give it to somebody and say, oh, this is garbage. But it's manage expectation from the beginning. Say, I don't know if you are going to love the taste or not, but I can tell you this is healthy. Maybe it's not going to take like the Coke or like the I don't know the whatever drinks are there out there, but it's going to be healthy. Really, you care about your health? Very important. Then try this. If you don't like the flavors, okay, but let me tell you one tip: make sure that it's cold. That's it. Make sure that it's cold because I want to have a good experience with it. Because
Yeah.
if we just give the sample and we don't manage the expectation, some people may take it in hot water. Who knows water that he has or she has in the car, and it's not going to taste good. I say make sure you have cold water with it, and call me ASAP as soon as you try it, or I call you tomorrow, or I call you this afternoon, one of the two. But important to manage your expectation and here or her expectation by saying that I don't know if you are going to like the flavor. I can tell you this is great for you. Does it have the
Mhm.
garbage that other products have in the market? It's really good for you and it's developed by scientists. By
Yeah.
scientists, very important, a very well-known scientist. As a matter of fact, so well, I always had his grandfather was one of the people that discovered the benefits of B1, a famous scientist in the world. And I love to say that, all that. But anyway, I just wanted to say that's very important.
No, thank
Yeah,
you for that.
uh, uh,
And thank you all for putting it in the chat. I love that. Thank you
yeah,
for sharing. So yes, exactly, George. Thank you all for sharing those. I really love seeing the comments and just the energy in the chat. But real quick, before I end this, sampling is super, super important, guys. And here's the key takeaways I want you to remember, okay? And then I'll stop talking. But sampling done right is really is not about giving away products. It's about creating belief. Every sample is an invitation for
yeah.
someone to experience change, just like George has mentioned. So this week, when you share your sample, do it with intention, track it, follow up, teach your team to do the same. That's how you create a ripple effect, right? That grows into this huge momentum. Okay. So that's going to be really amazing. It's really exciting. Thank you all for just leaning in and being part of this training. So now we get to go build together and build belief together. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Kenyon.
So I talked to Dr. Dan at convention. People are caffeine sensitive, and he says it comes in a powder form. You don't have to take the whole pouch. He says break it down. Just do a sample of it. So that to me was key because my wife's very caffeine sensitive. I have one lady, she only takes a quarter of a pouch a day and loves it. So that's just something to think about when we're doing this. It comes in a powder form so we can adjust what we take. We don't have to have the whole pouch or sachet.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that, Kenyon. And I didn't even know that it still works with just a quarter. That's awesome. All right. Well, over to you, George.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, an amazing, amazing presentation. So yes, sampling is so important. But again, follow those guidelines that Lovi show. That's why I have the slides on the right side. Make sure also that you listen again to this presentation on Facebook.